I'd like to call this meeting of the Westland City Council to order, please. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, tonight led by Councilman Hammonds. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
Here.
Councilman Hart.
Here.
Councilman Hammonds.
Present.
Councilman Herzberg.
Here.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo.
Here.
Council President Godbout.
Present.
Quorum is present, sir.
We will begin the meeting with the nomination for City Council President. Councilman Herzberg.
I move to nominate Councilmember James Godbout.
Support.
Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Councilman Hammond.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Is there a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close nomination.
Motion to close by Councilman Herzberg. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilman Londo. You,
So those in the audience know the procedure for electing a council president, if there is more than one person nominated, is to place the names on a piece of paper, approximately 3 by 5, place them into the box, and then the clerk draws them out one at a time to vote. So that's what I'm doing right now.
whichever
You can
one
shake it
flies
up.
out. Have somebody else draw.
No, I have to draw.
Oh, you have to draw.
I do. Where's the camera for a time like this? The name drawn is Adam Hammonds. And the second name drawn, just to prove it, James Godbout. That is the order in which they will be voted. And I will take roll.
Right.
This vote is for Adam Hammonds to become Westland City Council President for the next 2 years. Councilwoman Green.
Yes.
Councilman Hammonds.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
No.
Councilman Herzberg.
No.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo.
No.
President Godbout.
No.
That election fails. We'll now go to for President Godbout. Let me get another sheet of paper here. This vote will be to make Councilman James Godbout the council president for the next 2 years. Councilwoman Green.
No.
Councilman Hammonds. Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Herzberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Councilman Londo.
Yes.
I'm gonna hit you too.
Councilman Godbout.
Yes.
That motion passes with 4 affirmative votes. The next item, of course, will be nominations for Council President Pro Tem.
Councilman Londo.
Move to nominate Councilman Peter Herzberg.
Any other? Councilman
I'd
Johnson? Are
like to nominate Jim Hart.
there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I move to nominate myself for President Pro Tem.
Motion to close nominations, supported by Councilman Hersberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
I'll place 3 names into the box for consideration for Council President Pro Tem. Take them out. Yeah, I know. It's your rules. All right. Voted first will be Peter Hersberg. Voted second will be Jim Hart, if necessary. Voted third, if necessary, Tasha Green. We will begin with Councilman Hersberg. A yes vote indicates that you would wish to have him as your President Pro Tem. Councilwoman Green.
No.
Councilman Hammonds.
No.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hersberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Councilman Londo.
Yes.
President Godbout.
Yes.
4 votes being sufficient, Councilman Hersberg is the President Pro Tem.
We'll move on to announcements and presentations. Melissa DeLuca.
Melissa DeLuca, Westland Historic Commission. Congratulations to the newly elected mayor and city council members, as well as the council president and the council president pro tem. I just wanted to remind everyone that Westland does have a historic park. It's around the corner on Wayne Road, just off Marquette, off the end of the John Glenn property. We do have a couple of special events coming up, including a craft and chill where you can come and paint your own special painting with a decal of your last name or whatever you choose to put on the lamppost. And there are flyers out in the hallway which provide that information. The date of the event is January 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. Also coming up in February, we have a a Valentine's tea with Mary Todd Lincoln. It will occur on February 10th from 1 to 3 p.m. And each of those items is a fundraiser for our historic village park. More information can be found on our Facebook, as well as through the flyers that are in the lobby again. We are also looking for a couple of commissioners for the Westland Historic Commission. We have 3 openings currently. Our meetings are the last Tuesday night of the month. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, President Godbout, and good evening, council members. Just wanted to basically wish everyone a happy 2008 and congratulations to the members that were sworn in again for another term tonight. But also to remind folks back home that we do have a coffee hour. The first one for 2018 will be this next Monday at 9 a.m. in the morning at Big Boys Restaurant at Hunter and Wayne Road at 9 o'clock again, and encourage folks to stop by and have a free cup of coffee on us, and we would be happy to see them, take questions or comments. And with that, that's all. Make it very brief. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll move on to citizens' questions or input on the agenda. Citizens will be recognized before the business of the meeting commences to address the council pertaining to items that are specifically on the business agenda. Citizens are asked to limit their questions or input to 3 minutes. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes.
Richard Graham, Westland, also with Move Westland Forward. Regarding item 4 on new business and the request of City Council to confirm Brian Harnos as our new Parks and Rec Director. This department has now seen 4 directors in the last 2 years, and unfortunately our parks have suffered because of this. Mayor Wild, how many people were interviewed for this job? What did you use as a search to cast a large net of candidates? City Council, did you see the list of people that were interviewed along with their qualifications? Citizens are concerned about another political insider being given a director's position who is not qualified. Council, do you know why Mr. Harnos was removed from the DPS department? From the consent calendar and approving Lisa Norsserini as our grant writer, was this bid out? Who was on the list that responded back? Last year, this was not bid out. Move Westland Forward researched this last year a few times. We contacted cities in Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and even Livonia, Michigan. We are clearly underperforming for what we were getting for this service. A representative in Pennsylvania actually laughed at the amount of money brought in for a city of 85,000 people. These cities bring in millions and millions of dollars every year in grants. The national average is way less than $72,000, and these are typically full-time employees. The biggest issue, however, is a conflict of interest. Lisa Norsserini is the city manager of Wayne, which I assume is a full-time job. Wayne also will compete on us on virtually all grants. We cannot afford anymore to finish second to other cities or not putting our best foot forward. Also, to remind people, Lisa Norsserini was Mayor Wild's campaign manager when he ran for the Wayne County seat. Lisa Norsserini supplied some paperwork that was in the council packet, but what is troubling is the list of grants. This is close to the same that she supplied last year and shows nothing for 2018 and beyond. From 2015 to 17, one grant brought in over 76% of the total grants, which means she only brought in $650,000 in 3 years. That is frankly appalling. Her list of pending grants seem very much pie in the sky. And one interesting enough is for lead lines. She even states she coordinated a meeting between Mayor Wild and former Congressman John Conyers. Interesting, they talked about an uptick in crime. Thank you.
Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Blake?
Congratulations to everybody. Like I said, we need to bring creativity to the city and our issues. So under the park and recreation issue, is there any way that a committee could be established for planning over the park? So if there isn't a park director, there's a committee that's around the clock planning for the park. Is that something that could be established or talked about? If you would like me to repeat myself, could a committee be established to help the park?
There is a Parks and Rec Commission already in place.
Okay. So, is there any way to get on it, or how do you apply, or?
You need to submit a resume into the mayor's office for consideration on it.
Okay, thank you. Good job, guys. Mike, I hope I'll get some Pepsi. Okay, good job, Tasha. Good to see you, co-president and everybody else. Thanks.
Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Just a reminder, this is on the agenda. Yes. Councilman Coleman, former Councilman Coleman.
Thank you. Kevin Coleman, Westland resident. I just wanted to take this quick opportunity to ask the council to please support item 4, Mr. Brian Harnos for the position of Parks and Rec Director. I've known Brian for the last 4 or 5 years. I think he would make a great director. He's a professional. He knows the city very well. He spent over 20 years in service to the city. I've always advocated as a councilman for our city's workforce to represent our community more accurately. So I want to encourage the administration and the council to please hire more minorities and more women. But at this time, I believe that Mr. Harnos is the right person for this job. Thank you.
One on my right. Yes, ma'am.
Jody White, I'd like to talk about number 3 in the new business. Is that the right, am I speaking
Yes.
in order? Thank you. Needless to say, I'm a little disappointed that we have Mr. Godbout again as our council president because when Mr. Thompson, we had an issue with him, we got a letter from an attorney threatening us. And now we're sitting with another 2 more years with you, and I'm getting this reappointment of Bruce Thompson. And we have the same mayor that allowed our city attorney to waive normal rules during a public hearing. And I'm just wondering with the new 4 council people, which, by the way, thank you and congratulations for serving. We do have some documentation that we would like to have looked at with the new council, just because we don't want it to happen again. And so Christine didn't make a lot of the meetings, and so maybe with the other 4 people that are here, I don't know if Mr. Godbout's going to give us the time, but Bruce Thompson did blatantly ignore a lot of positive paperwork that would have helped the low-density neighborhood that we live in. And we, have asked on numerous times to be heard, and so if we could get a study session or something. And then I did go to the coffee hours with our 2 state reps, and we were told that it wasn't our meeting, it was their meeting, and we had to stick to their agenda. And so I'm just wondering if you newer council people will have meetings for us. There's a lot of times we would like to just talk to you guys. I want to question, why is there carpeting being sold for $44,000 in the budget? I would like to know. I don't know if you guys get the information. I don't want to put you guys on the spot at any time, but I do take the budget really seriously, and I take the rules real seriously, and I sure take the master plan really serious. And so when a low-density area gets overcrowded, it is really quite hard. So, Mr. Godbout, congratulations. I am not pleased to have you as our president, and I do want you to know that, but I do appreciate all the time you have served, and I do hope and pray that you will give this new set of committee the chance to look at the documents that we do have that will wonder why our city attorney allows the public meeting to waive normal rules. And I believe we have the right to do that. So thank you.
Anyone on my left? Former Councilman Kerr. Definitely got to turn the clock on.
Hi, guys. You can put the timer on me now.
Believe me, I did.
Way ahead of you.
I was just going to state, after going to getting a certification in grant writing at Michigan State University, attending the grant writing classes, and then immediately after that working briefly as a part-time grant writer, you can't compare grant writers or grants that are written in other states along with someone that may be in Michigan. Although a lot of grants may be available from the federal government, many times they're doled out geographically, or they're doled out by depressed economic areas and things like that. So it's probably not a good comparison to grab figures from around the country to use in a comparison. A better comparison would be to try to stick in the state of Michigan and in the same economic type areas that Westland would be in. So I just wanted to mention that. And, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. Mike Kerr, and I'm also representing MovingWestlandForward.org. I just wanted to mention that also. The other thing about Brian Harnos, he's worked for the city for a long time. He's been a very dependable employee. He's run the ice rink and golf course all at the same time. So, I mean, I think he's quite capable of doing that job. He's a very dependable person. Thank you.
What on my right? Right?
Yeah, Ray, Chairperson of Disability Concern Board, too. Yeah, I was listening to Kevin. I thought that was pretty nice what he said. It's nice if they know the person, because I was getting concerned, too, with 3, 4 different directors saying that they are qualified to get in these parks, and they're supposed to be fixing them up, and they're not doing it, right? Or they don't have the right credentials. Hopefully, what I just heard sounds pretty good. And I want to see more of a friendlier people with wheelchairs and stuff with accessibilities to getting in these parks. It'll be easy for them and stuff like that, too. Thank you.
Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Anyone else in the audience? We'll close citizens' comments on the agenda and move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Johnson. Is there support? Support. Support by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hang on. I got to get to the right spot. Councilwoman Green.
This is regarding, I apologize, this is regarding the 2 items on the...
On the consent calendar, yes.
Okay, speaking directly to the North Sereni contract, I had the opportunity to sit down with Lisa North Sereni to speak to her about what she's done here in the city of Westland and some of her goals moving forward as the grant writer. I think Lisa is a phenomenal person. Definitely don't have anything to say bad about her personally. But coming from a very strong business background, I do my very best work with staying focused on dollars and cents, especially when we are dealing with a budget projection that is as ominous as we have here in Westland. And as I go forward, one of the things that I promise to citizens is to be transparent, whether popular or not. We're going to have a budget meeting coming up in the next month or so. I encourage residents to come to the budget meeting or at least educate yourselves. And please do so in a positive manner because it's going to take all of us and the residents of the city to turn around what we have currently existing here in Westland in terms of our budget. But to circle back around to Mrs. North Sereni's contract, one of the things, I had the pleasure of being here last year when the budget conversation initially came up, and some of the opposition that occurred relative to giving Mrs. North Sereni that contract was the fact that she was Mayor Wild's former campaign manager, allegedly, and that the contract did not go out to bid, which is customary. So it appeared to be, well, there were questions that the citizens answered, wanted answers to. Another issue that was discussed regarding her contract was that the salary or the payment for Mrs. North Sereni far exceeds the national average. The national average for grant writers is $60,000. That's over the entire nation. Normally, when you send things out to bid, and I run a construction company, I own my own property management construction company and have a very strong background in budgeting and operations. Typically, when you send things out to bid, you get a more comparable and financially feasible quote. So Mrs. North Sereni's contract, if I'm not mistaken, was given to her or approved by council last year at $72,000. Although I think Ms. North Sereni brings a lot to her job, I think she does. She puts a lot of pride in her work. Again, nothing negative personally against Ms. North Sereni. She is the city manager of Wayne. And in my opinion, that it does present somewhat of a conflict of interest. And so I would be willing to approve Ms. Norsserini to stay on, but I will not do so without expressing my concern regarding us giving her, again, more than what the national average will allow when our city, if we're honest, and I will be having my own meetings, so you'll get the opportunity. I'm not coming in here to work against anybody, but I am going to educate residents so you know what's going on. Within 2 years, Westland could be at a financial crossroad, and we're leaning more towards the negative versus the positive. So again, we have a lot of work here to do, and that was just confirmed with me last week after an in-person meeting with Plan and Moran. Ms. Norsserini, I think you do a great job. I'd like to see you stay on. I will not approve the contract for more than the national average of $60,000, which will reduce your monthly pay from $6,000 a month to $5,000 a month, still allowing you to stay on, still allowing you to do good work for our city, but not maxing out our budget at every opportunity that we have to do so. Thank you.
Councilwoman Green, if you would like to amend a motion, and the item needs to be pulled and made item 1A versus trying to change an existing agenda item under a consent calendar.
Okay, well, again, this is my first time, so you can, I appreciate you telling me how it works. And I don't know, as we saw today, if I'll have the votes to do that. I'm just expressing before I say yes or no that I'm doing so considering what is best for the citizens and our budget, not anything personal.
So you want to leave it on the consent calendar as it exists?
Well, yeah, I don't know, if I make a motion to move it, we got 6 other council people, so how does that typically work?
If you make a motion to move it, you get support for the motion, and then it moves to item 1A, and then council considers that item separately outside of the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to move it. Thank you.
There's a motion to move to item A to 1A. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. We'll move back to the consent calendar, which consists of item B. At this point, is there a motion for the consent calendar? Support. Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Herzberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Council has approved the following one item on the consent calendar. I don't know if I'll ever get to say that again.
Okay.
Adoption of ordinance 109N, an ordinance to amend the Westland City Code by amending Chapter 62, Sections 62 through 163, concerning the taking or possession of another person's credit card or other financial transaction device. This item was introduced December 18, 2017. Moving to new business. New business, item 1A, approval of Norsserini Strategy Group LLC consulting agreement for grant and government relations services for the city of Westland. The contract is for the period of January 2, 2018 through January 2, 2019 in the amount of $6,000 per month and authorizes the mayor and city clerk to execute on behalf of the city.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Green. Is there discussion? Is there discussion? Is there dissent? Is there dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
New business, item 1, minutes of the regular meeting held December 18, 2017.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Herzberg. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilman Hammonds. Roll call, please.
As I take roll, I remind the three new council members, the required vote is abstain. Councilwoman Green.
Abstain?
Councilman Hammonds. Yes. Councilman Hart.
Abstain.
Councilman Hersberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Londo.
Abstain.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 2, minutes of study session held December 18, 2017.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Hersberg. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green. Abstain.
Abstain.
Councilman Hammonds.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Abstain.
Councilman Hersberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Londo.
Abstain.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 3, confirmation of reappointment of Bruce Thompson, AICP, as Planning Director for the City of Westland, effective January 1, 2018.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Thompson.
New business, item 4, confirmation of appointment of Brian Harnos as Parks and Recreation Director, effective January 3, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Support. Or, excuse me, make a move to motion.
Motion by Councilman Landau. Is there support? Support by Councilman Hart. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Green.
Yes, thank you, Council President. As it relates to Brian Harnos, I too had the opportunity to converse with Brian briefly at my request once we received the mayor's recommendation for 100% salary of what the budget allows. I did ask for verification of experience, confirmation on what he makes today, again, confirmation on, the dollar amount and the reason for the dollar amount. And so, after speaking with several people who live in Westland, some of those who've worked for the city long-term, very well-respected people within the community, I have no doubt that their faith in Brian is definitely well-earned. As everybody has stated, Brian worked for the city for 20 years and worked his way up from a entry-level position to managing the ice rink that we have here in Westland, and now hopeful to become our Parks and Rec Director. And so I, again, for reasons similar to Ms. Norsarini's contract, the mayor's recommendation is to give him 100% of what the salary the budget allows, which is just under $90,000 of taxpayers' money. Now, the issue that I have, or not issue, I guess the concern that I have is Mr. Harnos is not yet certified. And typically when an employee in most industries goes and gets a huge certification.
Agree. That's the second item. The salary is the second item.
Oh.
Item 5. Item
Which
4
one am I speaking on?
is the appointment first.
Yeah, this is all summing up my reasons
Okay.
for, yeah, it's all looped into one. So,
All right.
when you, and I'm speaking, having a background in budgeting, so for those who may not familiar, I pray that I explain this so that you can understand it. When you give an employee the maximum amount of money that the budget will allow, when 12 months from now, this employee will be eligible for more money. With a city that is cash-strapped, we will be in a position to have to find more money to give Mr. Harnos, and he will be entering this position without certification. And so my recommendation is that Mr. Harnos be brought on board, not at 100% of the salary, but something that is comparable, and that he be eligible for an increase if he should get the certification that he has guaranteed the city he will gain in April. I see no reason to give him a wage increase with the current budget status. He is not certified. I see no reason to max out what our budget will allow. And so again, I definitely support Mr. Harnos. I think he is a very nice person. but there needs to be some type of leeway and understanding when we are issuing salaries that come directly from our taxpayers' pool. Does that make sense from a financial standpoint? And in my opinion, although Mr. Harnos has been with the city for 20 years, the maximum amount that the budget will allow is $87,500. Without certification, I do not support that. Thank you.
Councilman Johnson?
Thank you. I too think Mr. Harnos could probably do the job very well, and I'm only speaking to item 4 at this point. There is a certification issue. Mr. Harnos has assured me that he can get certified during the month of April, I believe we talked about, correct? I don't have a problem getting, Brian getting the appointment. I'm sure number 5 may be discussed at further length, but he's almost at that rate already, I do believe, and I haven't been peeking to see how much you make, but I think you're almost there already. There are great cost savings that we could realize with you being appointed to the Parks and Rec, the position you currently hold. If that is not replaced, it'll just about pay your salary and your benefits. So I'm hoping that we can get to a point where that position does not get replaced and that MSB comes under you, as will the golf course and the ice rink. We haven't had a real Parks and Rec director for a long time. Representative Kasowski had all these under his jurisdiction. I'm going to be supporting your appointment, but I'd like to see those issues come back under your jurisdiction. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any dissent? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
Yes.
Councilman Hammonds.
Yes.
Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hersberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo.
Yes.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Brian.
New business, item 5, approval of 100% starting salary for Parks and Recreation Director Brian Harnos.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Hammonds, supported by Councilman Johnson. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Councilwoman Green.
This is where I express my
If you're going to,
agreement.
we'll do a roll call if you're going to dissent.
gotcha.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Green.
No.
Councilman Hammonds. Councilman Hart.
Yes.
Councilman Hersberg.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Londo.
Yes.
President Godbout.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item 6, approval of voucher.
Motion by Councilman Hammond, supported by Councilman Hersberg. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to citizens' comments or requests. Citizens will be recognized at the end of the meeting immediately following the agenda item approval of vouchers. Citizens are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. All citizens wishing to speak will be heard. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Mr. Green. Mr. Hertzberg. Hopefully we get some good people in here, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Landau, remember when you all sat out here with that young lady that tried setting me up and saying that I was a racist and all that stuff, and she did all that garbage? And she said, if all this stuff is true, then why aren't there any investigations? You know what? The FBI's been investigating for 10 years. Let your friend know that. What else was I going to talk about tonight? Oh, your special treatment of me coming into the parking lot. I got to get frisked and my car. Can we search your car? No. Well, we're going to frisk your car anyways. What is the deal with you and your police here, Mr. Mayor? When I pull up in this parking lot and I say, no, you may not search me or my car, and they say, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to pat down your car. Mr. Fostone, I know you're not Mr. Fostone, but are you the deputy mayor or are you with that attorney thing? Are you an attorney or are you with the?
He's with the city attorney's office, yes.
Oh, okay. Do you know what kind of violation that would be? As a citizen, you know, for $800,000, I should be able to ask you that question, right? Is that a civil rights violation?
Mr., if you'd like to address it.
Yeah, there are situations where a search is allowed under the law. If there's probable cause to think that criminal activity is afoot, that provides probable cause to the police officers to search a person. A pat-down search, not a traditional search where you're detained, strip searched, or anything like that. But for officer safety and the safety of the public, they can do a pat-down search.
Okay, the pat-down's okay. That's fine, I understand that. I know up in the crotch and all that stuff. I've done all that stuff myself too. But when I say you can't check my car and they do that anyways, is there a law that says that there's a pat-down for a car? Is there?
Those search issues are fact-driven by the facts presented to the police at that time. So if you look at different cases, it depends on the facts of those cases as to whether there was a basis for searching the person and/or the car.
Okay, so when I asked them why they were doing it and they couldn't give me anything until even after we came in here. After we came in here, they said it was concerned citizens. So when they couldn't give me a reason why they were doing what they were doing, that is a violation of law, right?
Incorrect. There's no requirement that the police give you the reason why they are doing a pat-down search and articulate what the suspected criminal activity may be.
Mr.
All right.
Horncole, your time's up, although the chief did want to address your comments.
Mr. Horncole, I'll answer this for you. Meeting after meeting, your statements have become more and more threatening and inappropriate. I respect everyone's First Amendment rights to free speech, but your statements at these meetings and online are beyond. They're becoming threatening and personal attacks. I've been approached by residents right here in this crowd who've told me they're afraid of you. They're afraid to come to these meetings, and for that reason, we have to take steps to ensure the safety of everyone in here and everyone that's doing business here. So that's why we conducted that search with you today.
So why didn't you take any
Mr.
steps?
Horncole, your time's up. He just gave you an explanation.
You guys can kill somebody in the jail for attempt to kill me, but you guys won't do
Is there anyone on my left? Yes.
I haven't hurt nobody. Whoever's afraid of me, I haven't hurt anybody. I'm not afraid of you.
Good evening. Happy 2018 to all of you. I just wanted to briefly say thank you to all of you for passing the Nasserini Strategy GIP contract. I have two individuals who work with me, so I know they're pleased as well. Councilmember Green, thank you for your compliments, and I really enjoyed our conversation and getting to know you and learning more about your interests. First of all, I just want to congratulate the council members that have been elected or re-elected. I look forward to working with you over the next year and hopefully longer. And I just wanted to say that I do have a passion for grant writing. Actually, I've always, it was when I was home for Christmas, I was reading, my mom and I were reading some of the stories I wrote as a child and things like that. So I've always had a passion for honestly writing grants, for writing just in general. I do appreciate and I'm very honored to continue to work with the City of Westland. And I look forward to hearing from you and understanding your needs, some of the things that you're looking for with the city. And I certainly hope that, you know, we do a good job for you again. And thanks for believing in us. So again, congratulations, Happy New Year, and here's to 2018. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone on my right? Anyone on my left? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Kahn. I'm a resident of Westland. Wanted to say congratulations to Councilwoman Green, Councilman Hart, Councilman Landau. Just a couple things. I'm kind of blanking out now. I wanted to say thanks. In particular, he gave my, Mr. Hart, gave my stepson some candy as we were walking in to vote for him.
That's the trick, huh?
I've never heard of the guy, but he had 15 seconds delayed on me, and I said, hey, man, you got my vote, and I'm happy to see you. Ms. Green, I'm just the new blood here. I actually ran for council in the city of Wayne, where I used to live. I'm a transplant, and I didn't really try too hard, so obviously I didn't get in there. But I wanted to, if you haven't already, look into the city charter, find out what your powers as a new council person are, what you can do. I don't know if it's the same here. I guess it's similar, that as a council person, you can investigate, at least in Wayne, any matter of city business whatsoever. And I would encourage, I mean, I hear some outlandish claims. It sounds outlandish, but, you know, if the police tried to kill somebody, and then you're seeing things on the news, you're hearing these things, and yes, it sounds outlandish, but okay, well, now people are dying. So I'm reserving judgment on that, and I want to hear more. I'm also concerned about the alleged and apparent corruption. You know, I pay taxes here, costs a lot of money. And I've owned properties in the past where you're paying cash for your taxes and it's not coming out of your, you know, pulling thousands of dollars out of your pocket. You're really starting to hold your council to the fire. So just be mindful of that. I'm sure I'm not only speaking for myself. I got faith and I pray for all my leaders, whether I voted for them or not. So basically that's it. And just again about finding out what your powers, what you're supposed to do. Again, pray yourself. I would encourage you to. Ms. Green in particular, Robert's Rules of Order, be big on it, you know what I mean? You don't want to get pushed around out here.
Oh, that won't happen.
You know what I'm talking about. But you know, you got the will, you got the heart, you got the momentum, you're here. But again, you know, dissent, support, you got to know what's up because we're going to pass something on you and then it's passed. You know what I mean? All right. God bless. Good luck. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
The one on my right, Mrs. McKinney.
I had a few people ask why if I'm not attending, but I've been here, I just haven't spoken. I do have a problem with Jim being council president again, but not personal, but sometimes when you're in a position too long, you get too confident and you get, I just think that we need to do some term limits on council and on who's the president and who's the vice president. I think that's about it.
The one on my left. Yes.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Mike McDermott, 652 Forest Street. Just a couple of points tonight. I wanted to say congratulations to everybody who was newly elected. Councilman Hart, Councilman Landau, Councilwoman Green, also the re-election of Councilman Herzberg, and the re-election of Mayor Wild. I hope you guys are able to work together for the best of the city. I know that we've had, it was a contentious election cycle to say the least, but hope we can put that behind us and move forward for the best interests of the residents. Two more points that I wanted to make. One is that I was happy to see a couple of weeks back the steep budget cuts up in Lansing that were geared towards our first responders' health care and pension plans were soundly defeated. It was good to see that so many people came together up in Lansing at the Capitol to defeat what was yet again another attempt to cut the pension plans, the retirement benefits, and the health care of our first responders in police, fire, and EMS. So I was very happy to see that soundly defeated up there as well. And I wish everybody all the best here in the new year and hope for a prosperous 2018. Thank you.
The one on my right. Ray?
I'm going to talk at least maybe 2 minutes on positive things I've been doing. And first of all, I want to say congratulations to the new one in Peter, the Cole president. Good luck to you there, buddy. And I did hear, Judy, and a lot of boards do have term limits on the presidents or chair people or co-chairs or Well, you know, even the boards that I sit on, that they do have limits. I'm also on a cold chair right now in Detroit, the authority. And so is Blake, he's the chair. And I'm doing good things of the leadership on there and bringing things about mental health. Mental health to me, and I'm going to warn you all today, it can affect us all. And as people tell me I'm doing a good job, and I'm going to keep going out there. And you know what? I want to talk about 2020, Channel 7. People say I'm looking like a star. There's a commercial out there. And I saw it. And the video I'm sharing a lot on Facebook because everybody should be able to be a part of that community. Doesn't matter a person in a wheelchair, everybody has to be there. And that's the way I look at it. Be a part of the community. They want to hear from you. And they're going to do 6 more coming this year, and I'm planning on another one. Another one, I'm going to focus on stigma. And I think that's the biggest thing, too. Because 2017, Go Ray has been out there educating, teach the fire departments, one in Wayne, one in Westland. My plan is I'm taking it to the road. I might be training Redford, in Garden City. And I'm proud to be the person of the Disability Concern Board. I'm not ashamed of it. I love it. People think that's great that we have a community out here like this. I support the Westland Police Department. I think they're doing a good job. And you know, sometimes things do happen on the news. But you can't always believe what you hear. They can't be everywhere. There's going to be a good guy and there's going to be a bad guy. It happens everywhere. So when I was talking about I was really like the ones in Dearborn, how they were talking about their city. I talked about my life that I am living today, working, driving a car, talking about the mental health, talked about the city of Westland, the good things that I'm doing for this community. And people applaud. And they said, Ray, you are right. Mental health can affect us all. So I want to say, 2018, Go Ray, you haven't seen me yet. And I'm going to keep going out there and educating. Because it's just not the fire departments, the landlords. People need to be looked at as a person, be treated with dignity and respect. Tenants have rights like anybody else, and that's the way it should be here in the city of Westland. Thank you.
Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Blake?
Thank you. Thanks, Freddie. Thank you, everybody who's been elected. It's been a really good time to come to 2018. I have become to the city started really small. This guy said one day you'll work your way up to the top. I guess I did it by now. So I just want to be really stern on a couple issues. I think that as a city, we need to work on employment. Disability employment. We do a lot of things within our city, and I think that's something that we should all discover because employment is a really big issue for people with disabilities, and I know that we've done things with Wild for the Youth, and I think that we really need to focus on disability employment within our city. The second issue was I'm very honored to be a policy peer advocate with the SAM self-advocacy, and working on policy issues for the last going on 2 years has really been amazed and opened a lot of doors and legislations and policies. So when Tasha Green had spoke on understanding budget and understanding, education is a really big process in this. So I think when we look at our elected officials and when we have people like Tasha Green saying, you need to learn these things, you actually need to, because working on healthcare issues for peers with with abilities. It opened a lot of loopholes and legislations through Senate bills and House bills, and I think that's more what we need to look on, policy and government. I think that would calm down a lot of our issues if we maybe had a box, or if council, like Councilwoman Tasha Green said, that she wants to hold more meetings. I think that if more council people had their own meetings, we could kind of box away a lot of the anger that comes into the chamber. So I just want to say thank you for everybody. Feels good to be back. So I will hopefully see you guys. I'll be working inside along with Ray with my new leadership position in 2018.
Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Mrs. White?
Thank you, Ms. Green, for your knowledge about the money and trying to help us with the budget. I am sad again that our other council people did not think that that was an important issue. I want to thank the police because I did, and hopefully I'm at the right time. Last time I was here, I had a little meltdown because DTE cut our power. There's a House Bill 4220 that is there to protect the general public from people that can bully. And your police were really awesome. They had to, first of all, take care of a person that had a dog bite before they would take care of a person that lost their electric. But his name is Mr. Bristol. My husband did try to file a citizen complaint, though, to a couple other people that treated my husband kind of poorly when we cared about getting some help. And we don't have a gun. We're not, and the way I met this guy before, I don't think he's a threat. I think he is livid that someone did get killed in our police. I think he is livid what is happening in our corruption of whatever the corruption is. All I do know is House Bill 4220 is a policy that I would like to see some people maybe take some concern to, because we want meter choice. It is a law. That's what I work by, not really policy, but laws. They matter. And I think, thank you so much for Mr. McNamara for answering the man's questions, because I think you did really well at it, because you did tell him the truth. And I do think that the allegations of saying that he's a bad guy in front of everybody is a little humiliating, and I don't think that that was right personally. So I do think he gets an apology. As far as, again, if we could check the law, I don't think it is right to seriously give candy at an election. I know that that's something silly, but there's a little boy in this room, and because I had some stuff going on when I went and ran for office, I'm not like this guy over here. I didn't know what I was doing. I did it because I care about the city. I care about righteous behavior, and then I find out I lose, and the other guy gets to do some things, and he gets fined or whatever the case was. And, you know, we don't know what we're doing, and we're learning, though. So I do want to, please, I'm part of the Unity Committee for the State Committee of the Republican Party, and we're trying to get people unity in the Republican Party. You got to imagine how hard that's been with Mr. Trump as president. But we do meet on Wednesdays from 7 to 9 at the Dearborn Heights Library. We would love to have you guys come out. We do have a lot of Democrats come out and independents come out, and we just get highly educated so that we are calm when we speak. I do also want to, in closing, make sure that someone, I'm hoping actually Mrs. Green, because she did say that she would, although you might want to check, because I don't know if you can have meetings with the citizens without more people there. But I do know that since Bruce Thompson did get reappointed, I do want his paperwork to please be looked at, how he handled the Macon Village condominium complex in the low-density area. Thank you, and congratulations, everyone.
Anyone on my left? Can't let you come back up, sorry. Anyone on my right? Yes, sir.
Richard Graham, Westland, also with Move Westland Forward. Happy New Year, everyone. For the last 2.5 years I've come to the council meetings, it's extremely refreshing to hear a council person really actively talk about in front of everybody, trying to save taxpayers' dollars. That's part of the job. And hopefully that will continue, and hopefully that will rub off on the rest of the council people. A couple of items, through the chair to Mayor Wild. The U.S. Conference of Mayors is coming up in January. Are you going to this year? Are you taking any other city official? If so, why? Are any significant others coming on this trip? I spoke to a representative of the U.S. Conference of Mayors after you brought Deputy Mayor Reddy with you last year. They stated that it is rare to have more than one person join the conference other than the mayor. Exceptions are some big cities like Dallas, Minneapolis, that have millions of people or millions of residents. Through the chair to the mayor's office or DPS, there has been a lot of snow events this season, and there are a lot of reports of the streets not being serviced very well. Our street, in fact, has seen issues the last 2 times out of the 3 times it's been plowed. There are mounds and mounds of snow being left in the street, so it makes it very hard to get in and out of your driveway or for the mail to be delivered. Residents are not getting their mail. To clarify, this is not snow that's being pushed into the driveway or the approach. It's actually being left in the street in mounds and mounds. Who do residents call during normal business hours? Who do residents call during non-business hours because the city is closed for the majority of the week based on normal business hours? Is it the police department or the fire department and then they can get in touch with the DPS? Taxpayers just need to know who they need to call. Move Westland Forward received a message about a senior that called the DPS department about their street called Patricia Place. This person was told the street needed to be cleared by Canton. However, this resident pays taxes to the city. Can someone explain what happened here, and was this correct? Thank you.
Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Anyone else in the audience? We'll close citizens' comments and move on to comments from the administration. Mayor?
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I'll start off, I'll try to answer the questions before I jump into my comments. The question was, will the City of Westland be participating in the U.S. Conference of Mayors winter event that's in January in Washington, D.C.? Yes, I will be attending. As far as the snow removal, Ramsey, did you want to give a quick, through the chair, quick update on? Sure. And Ramsey, can you also answer the question on after hours? What's the best, if someone's having an issue with the road, who they should call?
Mr. President, as you know, the past 3-4 weeks, we had about maybe 3 to 4 snow events. We declared emergency one time when we had snow, depth about 5 to 7 inches. The DPS department, as everybody know, during that emergency, we worked around the clock for about 36 hours. We have plowed every street in the city, and we have the new tracker system that we have already that's at the residents' disposal as well, that proves that all our plow trucks have moved into every street in the city of Westland. We have some issues that sometimes we have cars parked and the plow has to go around, and then after that car moved, we get the call that the street has never been plowed. 100% of the cases, we send the plow truck back and we clean the street. The other events, we have about 2 other events that, per our policy, we'll just do the major routes in the city, which is the major streets or the collector streets that we call them, such as Palmer Road, Newburgh Road, Hicks Road. We, again, went into every local and subdivision street in the city for the past month, which is in December. 3 times we have went into every street in the city of Westland. And there are, I'm not saying that some dead-end streets or some stubs or some courts, we had some problems there in the city of Westland. When we receive the call, we act and we move and we clean. As a matter of fact, we were cleaning today some streets that cars were parked in the middle of the road, they still have some snow issues or some ice issues. And when we do the plowing, as you know, the residents, they do their driveway approaches, they do their driveways, and then the plow sometimes comes in and they plow some of these driveways back in. they call us back, and some seniors, they do call us, and then we send one of the pickup trucks, try to help them out. During hours, you could call DPS at 734-728-1770. After hours, you could call the police department, and you could mention about any emergency or any issues that you have in this street, any blockages or any streets that we haven't plowed. But we have a new tracker system that every resident can get hold of and can see that every street we have been on in the past month at least 3 times. The other issue is the way we plow the streets. First, we plow the major routes where we have the heaviest traffic on them. Then we go down to the streets that have less traffic than the major routes. Then we end up going to the dead-end streets and the courts. We have issued a policy about 4 years ago where with every emergency that we declare, which is 6 inches or more, we plow from the heart city, we branch out, and we have about 7 to 8 routes that we have out there. And then the second event where we have another emergency, then we start at the outskirts and move in the city. It's not perfect science, but we try to do our best. We monitor those snow plowing events. There is always a director out there, and we have a foreman, and we have our crews working around the clock through snow events where we have or declare an emergency.
Okay. Thank you, Ramsey. Thank you. Congratulations, Council President Godbout, for your reappointment to the Council President position, and Council President Pro Tem Herzberg. Congratulations with your appointment. Also, welcome to the new council members, Jim Hart, Mike Landau, Tasha Green. I look forward to working with you, and I'm already impressed by all of your passion and how much the 3 of you have been reaching out to us for more information. So I definitely look forward to working with you. Ms. Green, you'd mentioned an upcoming budget meeting, and Council, you should have gotten copies of the city's audited financials for the end of fiscal period 6/30/2017. Those should be in your boxes. You should have got those before the holidays. The audit has been filed online with the state of Michigan, and we'll be scheduling a study session with Council probably the end of January to walk through that, and we'll make the audit available on the city's open government section of the website as soon as possible, if it's not there already. Council, thank you for moving forward with the approval of Nasserini Strategy Group for continued work for the city of Westland. And just a little background is that the city's used a lobbyist, or actually we started off as a lobbyist about 10 years ago, and the firm that we used, Lisa worked for that firm, and then over the years that the lobbying kind of turned into more of a grant writing position for us. And then the city at another point switched to Midwest Strategies, and Ms. Nasserini was part of that group at the time. And as we've gone through the years and as we've switched consultants on that, the price has stayed the same. And then now that Ms. Nasserini has her own company, this Nasserini Strategy Group, it's the same price that we've been paying for basically about 10 years. So one of the things that I would tell people as we think about grant writing moving forward is that the city gets revenues from just a few different areas. We get state shared revenue from the state. We get revenue from our property taxes, which are capped. So that's a tough place for us to get additional revenue from. The fees and for the services that the city uses, and then for whatever grants that we can go out and get. So grant writing is something that's very important. And one of the things is that as we think about, as we downsize the city staff from over 400 to, now we're under 300, is we don't have as many bodies to do the work. So part of this, the grant writing teams, it's not just going out for a grant and writing the grant. Sometimes that's the easy part. But actually, once you're awarded it, the paperwork that goes involved with it to make sure the city complies and staying on top of the directors to get information and stuff. That's part of their work too. They probably spend more time doing that than actually applying for the grants. And that's important because as their group's doing that stuff, it frees up our other staff to do other things. And two of our biggest grants we get, federal grants, are firefighter grants and cops grants. So we could have our police chiefs and fire chiefs sitting there working on paperwork where they can have the staff of the grant writers do that. So it just really comes down to how we use our manpower. Also, council, thank you for the reappointment of Bruce Thompson. Bruce has been a long-time employee of the city of Westland. I've sang his praises up here plenty of times. He knows how I feel about him. He does a great job. He's a Westland resident, very well respected. And Bruce, we look forward to your continued service. He may be the longest-serving department head in the city now. I think he served under 4 mayors, so congratulations, Bruce. You deserve it. And also, council, thank you for your confirmation of Brian Harnos for the Parks and Recreation Director. And just to try to answer a few of the questions that came up along the way with that. Yeah, we've had a few different directors here, and I guess we've been trying to fill Bob Kozlowski's shoes ever since he retired, and that's what happens when you have big shoes to fill. But the last time around, we did a search, and we did it through the Michigan Municipal League, which is what the city of Westland and most other cities, when you have positions you're looking to fill, you use. Right now, we have 2 positions posted with the Michigan Municipal League, our HR Director and our Economic Development Director. When we listed it last time for the Parks and Recreation Director, we got resumes in from all around the country. We were kind of surprised. So we did a big search. We interviewed a lot of people. We used a team to go through the people. I think we probably had 30 resumes. We whittled it down to 10 or 12, and the team that interviewed everybody brought it down to a short list for me, and then I interviewed some people and had my own short list. But Brian was number 2 on our list last time. He was the only in-house employee that applied for the job, and at the time, he was running the ice rink and the golf course, and he was doing a good job, and he was getting married and settling down. He's been a 20-year employee of the city of Westland. He started off as an entry-level position in our golf course and worked his way up to managing the golf course. And then as the city downsized and we kind of moved our bodies around, he ended up working in DPS. We were looking for his customer service skills that he had at the golf course. We brought him over to the DPS, and then as we moved on with the management at the golf course, we actually brought Brian back from DPS to manage both the ice rink and the golf course. And at that time, we had separate managers for both. And as we were moving bodies throughout the city, and we moved, our animal control officers went to DPS, and building inspectors went to DPS, and Brian went from DPS to running the ice rink and the golf course. And when we did that, there wasn't a single employee that when we moved around as we downsized the city that we made take pay cuts. So we had building inspectors making more than the folks working next to them in DPS, and we had animal control officers making more than the people, and we had a guy running the ice rink and golf course that was making what he made in DPS. But that's how we did it. We were consistent. So when you look at his salary, that's how he got to where he was. Now, moving forward, the salary, which council, I appreciate you approving, by starting him at 100%, it allows him to basically move into this position without taking a pay cut. It's about a $1,300 to $1,500 a year increase, but we're going to backfill a spot in a way that we're going to try to save money. At the end of the day, could Brian run the ice rink, golf course, Parks and Rec, do all the city hall rentals, rent out Tatton Park, run the park rangers program and everything else? He probably could, because he's doing it all right now. But is that the best use of his time and effort for the city to move us forward? I'm not sure about that. It's an awful lot to ask one person to do. So, but with that said, all that stuff I said, he's been doing it now since our last director, our employment stopped with the city. So he's done a good job. He's earned it. And he's got passion. And the thing I like probably the most about all of it is that the athletic groups love this guy. The hockey folks love this guy. The soccer folks love this guy. He took the 2 most competing figure skating programs you've ever seen and somehow got them to merge together. And so he's got a magic way with working with the youth athletic groups. And I think council, all of us, we figured that's kind of where we go next with Parks and Recreation. We invested a lot of money in our ice arena. We invested a lot of money in our baseball fields, soccer fields. But the next step is really cranking up that programming, and I think he's the right guy to do it. So with that said, I had a few other things, but there was a gentleman that got up and he said the word corruption. And I got to tell you that as the mayor and been elected official a long time in the city, if there's ever any resident in the city of Westland that ever, for any reason whatsoever, you think that something is corrupt, or you think somebody up here, including myself or anybody that works for me, did something corrupt, get in your car and go down to the Westland Police Station and walk up to the counter and tell them, because if you think somebody did something wrong or improper, that's the way to do it. So I know we tend to go on Facebook and we tend to do other things, but I want everybody to feel confident with their elected officials. So if you ever are worried about that, go to the police station, because that's the proper way to do it. And if you do that, I'll support you and we'll figure out what's going on. But that's the best way to do that. And then, council, I'm sorry, guys, you're going to put the 3-minute clock on me, but the reason that Wayne County Commissioner Al Haddis was not here for your swearing-in ceremony, someone slipped me a notice. His mother recently passed away, and he was at an event for her tonight, and she was 103 years old. Monifa Haddis. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
You sure? Oh.
That's all I can think of.
Any comments from the city attorney's office?
Nothing from the city attorney's office, Council President.
Thanks. We'll start council comments with Councilman Landau. Now I am going to get the clock. Oh.
The mayor took up all my time, so I'll try to be brief. Just want to thank all the residents that came out tonight to both the swearing-in ceremony and to the council meeting. We got a full house here, and we had a full house for the swearing-in, so I appreciate it, and all the other elected officials that were sworn in tonight, like the mayor. Really appreciate everybody coming out in the cold weather. I thank my brother for coming out and swearing me in tonight, and my niece and nephew were here. I forgot to mention it's my nephew Cash's birthday. It's his 10th birthday, and he chose to come swear me in, so I appreciate that. I want to congratulate President Godbout and President Pro Tem Herzberg on their appointments. Sorry, I'm just kind of going down my list here. I want to congratulate Bruce Thompson. I've had a chance to work with Bruce on the DDA when I was on the Downtown Development Authority, and he's a constant professional, and really, really, really appreciate all the work you do for the city, so appreciate it, Bruce. Also want to, the mayor had a lot to say about Brian, so I won't go through my 3-page document that I have that he sent us, but I feel like Brian's doing a great job. He's got a good grasp on what's going on with the Parks and Recreation Department. I've worked hand in hand with him. I was a former Parks and Recreation Advisory Council member, and I've kept an eye on what's going on out there. And if any of this stuff is going on that he's laid out for us, this is great news for our parks. I really love what he does with our youth. The mayor mentioned the Youth Ranger program for Tatton Park. Most rangers are between the age of 16 to 22 years old, so a lot of times it's their first job, right? So it's really nice to have the youth in our community working, having a great leader and a great mentor supporting them, so I appreciate Brian. I want to thank the former council members that are in attendance tonight and for all their kind words at the last council meeting, or last council meetings, Councilman Coleman, wherever he went, Councilman Kerr, and Councilwoman Cicerelli Bryant. They had a lot of good things to say about us, and anything any of you need from me, please reach out to me. I want to congratulate I think I already congratulated guys. Congratulate everybody up here. And then with it being cold out, I want to let our first responders know to please be safe out there. Please be safe, and then for everyone with elderly neighbors, please check on them, and anyone with pets. It's going to be really, really cold here soon, so please check on them, stay warm. And I want to give out my contact information really quick. My phone number, my direct phone number is 734-223-0200. I do have some business cards for folks in the audience. I'd be happy to hand them out. You can also find my Councilman Mike Londo Facebook page, where I try to stay pretty active and answer questions on there as well, so you could contact me on Facebook. And with that, I'll just say Happy New Year to everyone in the audience and everyone watching at home, and appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Councilwoman Green.
Thank you. I would like to start by thanking the community for electing me, and to let you all know that I'm looking forward to serving the community with excellence for the next 4 years. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Everett, who swore me in, my daughter, who held the Bible for me, I'd like to congratulate the new president and pro tem of the city council. I would also like to just kind of speak to one other point that I'm sorry, congratulations, Brian and Bruce and Lisa Norserini on your new contracts. One other point that I wanted to make that I intended to make during my comment portion was regarding the salary of Brian. One of the other concerns that I did have was the prior Parks and Recreation Director made a salary of $75,000. And so, you know, my concern it's all dollars and cents to me. One of the benefits that the community will have with me being your new councilwoman is that I did not grow up in the city of Westland. And so I come in here totally unbiased. I'm not considering whose grandson or whatever it is. I'm only here for the people. And so, again, I will start having my own meetings, and you can find more information about when those will happen and where they'll be happening at on Facebook. I have a Councilwoman page on Facebook. You can follow me at Councilwoman Tasha Green on Facebook. If anybody would like to send me an email, I have a city email account, tgreen@cityofwestland.com. And I wish you all a safe and prosperous 2018. Let's do some good work in Westland. Thank you.
Councilman Johnson.
Thank you. First, I'd like to welcome the new council members, Ms. Green, Michael, Jim. We had a pretty good meeting tonight. They'll get worse. The closer it gets to an election, it'll get worse. Mr. Thompson, I'm not going to wish you luck. You do a fine job every day. Brian, good luck to you. If you need anything out of me, give me a shout. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Councilman Hart.
Thank you. Again, thank you to the citizens of Westland for their support. Myself speak for Councilman Green and Councilman Landau and Councilman Herzberg as well. So thank you again. We appreciate it. I'd like to offer congratulations to the Council President and Council President Pro Tem Herzberg. We look forward to seeking the benefits of both of your leadership over the next 2 years. I would also like to extend my condolences to the Haydes family for what they're going through at this time, and also to be completely amazed at the tenure that woman has lived on this planet. So it's a feat, none the least. Bruce, like Bill said, you've always been a class act. I've had to interact with you a number of occasions, typically in my own home and pulling my own permits, but you do a lot more that I think a lot of the residents don't realize. He liaises with a lot of new business owners, prospective companies coming to the city looking for opportunities. Bruce does the best to marry them up with great opportunities here in the city. So, and he does many more things, and everything he does is fantastic. So, Bruce, thank you. Brian, congratulations on your appointment. I know you have a long laundry list of things you want to accomplish. I have my own. So I have some high expectations, so we look forward to holding you accountable to them. So congratulations. Again, with that, I'd also like to thank Linda for coming out, my wife, for supporting me during the election season, coming today, holding the Bible. Behind every great man is a woman shaking her head, and that's the one that stands behind me. And last but not least, thank you to the former council members for their service. Councilman Coleman, former Councilman Kevin Coleman is here, and again to my good friend, former Councilman Michael Kerr, for all of his support. Thank you.
Councilman Hammonds.
Thanks, Council President. I want to start off by wishing everyone a happy new year out there. Have a safe and prosperous new year. I too want to again congratulate all the newly elected and the re-elected for your service. I look forward to working with you. Congratulations, Mr. Thompson, on your reappointment. I do look forward to working with you as well. And congratulations, Brian. I'm glad you made it to the Parks and Rec Director position, and look forward to working with you. I know you got a great plan laid out. And one great thing that he's been doing already is reaching out to all the athletic associations here in the city and trying to develop relationships with them. So I think that's a great start to his role in the Parks and Rec, and I look forward to serving and working with you. So congrats. And that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Herzberg.
Thank you. First, I'll congratulate President Godbout on his reelection to the presidency here of the council, and I want to thank the 4 votes that I got here tonight from other council members. I know there was a lot of rumbling in the audience when the appointment was being made. I think some people might kind of be confused, Godbout and I obviously haven't been complimenting each other here lately, but in light of the ugliness of the election, a lot of residents were saying we need to put politics aside, we need to work together. And I think that's what we're going to do here, and you're going to see that. You're going to hear a lot more about it in the coming months. So congratulations. And part of that, congratulations, Brian Harnos. It was mentioned that he's politically aligned, with a certain side. But, we got to put that aside. He is the best person for the job if we're going to hire within the city. All the directors we've had that have come and gone, Brian's been there to pick up the slack, and I think he deserves it. And also congratulations to Bruce Thompson. The Historical Commission is looking for members for their board. If you're interested in getting involved there, submit your resume to the mayor's office. You can find them by email on the city website. And also for other boards and commissions as well. If you're looking to get involved, you send the resume and a letter of interest, I believe, to the mayor's office. There was some talk here about doing some coffee hours and some things like that. I know I mentioned it to a couple of the other council members. I think that's looking good. I think quite a few of us are going to participate. There's no solid plan yet for regular coffee hours, but it's still under discussion. I'm planning to have a small coffee hour January 13th. It's Saturday at noon, Mr. Mike's. There's already a couple of people RSVP'd who are on various boards and such. So I'd like to just get the conversation going, put politics aside at those meetings. Let's talk about, what did you hear other cities are doing? What do you think we could do better here in the city? So I'd just like everybody to come out and, we'll see where it goes. With that, I'm honored to be pro tem and look forward to working with all the council members. Thank you.
I'd like to start by thanking Councilman Hersberg for his kind words. It is a new council, a new start for this body, and I appreciate the support of my colleagues. I think Councilman Hersberg and I will work well together and try and bridge some long-standing misunderstandings that took place over the course of the past few years. So I look forward to working with everyone, on all of my colleagues, and congratulate the newly electeds, Tasha, and Mike, and Jim. As we move forward, there's going to be a lot of things coming up, a lot of tough decisions that are going to have to be made, and so we need to have an open dialogue and keep open minds and in consideration on everything, and look for what's in the best interests of the city as a whole. And so, again, once again, thanks for your support. I would like to congratulate Bruce on his reappointment and Brian on his appointment as our new Parks and Rec Director. You both are top-notch guys. I'm confident you're going to do a great job, or continue to do a great job in Bruce's case. And I think, Bruce, you are the longest standing director in the city at this point in time. So you didn't have gray hair back when you first started, so it's, yeah. I would also like to, Ramsey, if you could express my thanks to our DPS crews. These guys are out there in the worst conditions, and if any of you are on Nixle, you'll see the 2 to 3 water main breaks we get a day, and that is, at this time of year, they're bad enough during the summer to try and repair, but in 0 or sub-zero temperatures out trying to fix water main breaks, it's a nasty job, and those guys do a great job and get them fixed as quick as they can. So if you could express my thanks to the crews for all their hard work. The snow issue, in a lot of cases, what'll happen is the plows will come down and people will push the snow out of their driveway back into the roads. Hence, some of the roads may not look like they're plowed or have been plowed. So it was, you know, it's a thankless job when you've got the couple hundred miles of road that we have in the city to, and it's a monumental task to get all those roads cleared as quick as you can this time of year, particularly with the number of snow events that happen one right after the other. Those guys put in a lot of hours and work very hard to try to do the best for all the residents. And I would also like to extend my thanks to our city clerk and their clerk's office for putting together the inaugural ceremony this evening. It was a great event, very well attended, and again, thanks to your office for putting that event together.
We'll do it again in a couple of years.
Yeah. And with that, I'd just like to wish everyone a safe and happy New Year, and all the blessings that life can bring to you. Is there a motion to adjourn?